The near future, New York. Rachel and Elvie have everything in their lives except for the child that Rachel dreams about every night. A modern house, artificial intelligence, and even 3D printed toasts. All of this has become a reality that no longer surprises anyone. Artificial intelligence provides a complete health report recommending supplements and menus for the optimal functioning of the entire body. Starting another morning in this way, Rachel says goodbye to her husband and heads to work. Elvie, a botanist and advocate of natural living, stays home and inspects his organic greenhouse, hoping to preserve at least something real. The only place where Elvie's happiness index rises is his small garden with real plants and soil, which have become a great rarity in the modern world. Elvie enjoys sifting the loose soil through his fingers, dreaming that one day plants will return to the world. Rachel gives a presentation to her colleagues about the Elenas, interactive assistants that are soon to be installed in every home, providing their owners with comfort. But not for long. The company is already creating new programs that will take over employees' client portfolios and perform all the key functions of managers within 2 months. Rachel's achievements do not go unnoticed. Her boss invites her to his office and offers her a promotion. The only condition is the use of the capsule womb so that she doesn't go on maternity leave. The company is willing to pay for the service of artificially creating a child at the Special Center Pegasus. Rachel spends the entire day thinking about her boss's offer, and a call from the clinic leaves her with no doubts. She learns that a capsule has finally become available in the womb, and she can use it to become a mother in the near future. To carefully consider everything, Rachel heads to the beach, or rather, its interactive copy created for relaxation and meditation. At the same time, Elvie is giving a lecture to students who look at real trees with horror and amazement. When the professor offers them to try a real fig picked from a branch, the teenagers look around fearfully, thinking that the botanist has lost his mind. Only one student dares to experiment. He tries the natural fig with the attitude of someone performing a heroic act. Rachel confesses to her friend that her husband does not know about her plans to create an artificial child. He always wanted the process to happen naturally, and she will have to somehow convince Elvie to use the capsule so that she doesn't have to interrupt her career. Rachel discusses the same thing with her interactive psychoanalyst, and finally she decides to tell Elvie everything only after signing the contract with the clinic. The clinic's policy is that all women have the right to motherhood without depriving themselves of the usual pleasures. Capsule pregnancy allows them to continue working, playing sports, and enjoying other activities while ensuring the full development of the fetus and constant monitoring. Rachel attends a lecture by the founder of Pegasus and gets acquainted with the center. She is shown a sample capsule where a baby is already developing, and the center's administrator, Linda Vocek, explains all the features available during pregnancy. For example, an app that allows you to play music, movies, and podcasts in different languages for the baby, or a variety of flavors so that the child does not become picky in the future. The program introduces them to different foods, eliminating the problem of fussiness. After the tour, Rachel makes a deposit to reserve the capsule for carrying her child. Elvie receives a bank notification about a large expenditure, and Rachel has to gather the courage to tell her husband about her plans. Elvie is unhappy that his wife made this decision without consulting him, but he tries to avoid serious conflicts and agrees to visit Alice and Ben, friends who have already used the capsule services several times and are currently expecting another child. The conversation with experienced friends leads nowhere. Elvie still considers the idea foolish. He cannot understand how one can store a child in a plastic egg. After listening to his wife's arguments, who dreams of building her career and maintaining her body's beauty, Elvie agrees to talk to her interactive psychoanalyst. But this also seems incredibly stupid to him, and he flees the office, unable to endure the conversations with a giant artificial eye on the floral wall. Elvie makes several more attempts to dissuade his wife, but eventually he gives in. At night, he tells Rachel that he agrees to the capsule baby if it will make their marriage happier. In the morning, the couple returns to the womb center, and Linda offers them the chance to choose the gender of their future child. On this, the young couple is united. They let nature decide such an important question, and they sign the contract. A large screen appears before the patients, showing the entire conception process. In front of the future parents' eyes, a race takes place, and finally, they are informed that their embryo is ready. Now they have the opportunity to greet it, though the young couple feels very strange looking at the tiny vial. They share the happy news with Rachel's parents. The future grandfather is incredibly happy, but he believes that Elvie should grow up, find a real job, give up the plants, and sell the country house. But Elvie disagrees. He is convinced that the house by the coast is the only chance to stay connected to nature and something living. For the next few days, Rachel monitors the embryo's development through the app while Elvie continues his work in the greenhouse. It all seems very unnatural to Elvie, and he is greatly surprised when his wife refuses intimacy due to pregnancy. Elvie's negative attitude slightly upsets Rachel, but she hopes that everything will change when they can hear the baby's heartbeat. Meanwhile, she visits the capsule at the medical center alone, watching as other clients' children come into the world. From anticipation and excitement, Rachel starts dreaming about motherhood again. She tries to discuss this with the psychoanalyst, but the digital eye reminds her that dreams are an outdated diagnostic method that should not be given attention in the modern world. Finally, the couple hears the heartbeat inside the capsule, and this becomes a turning point. They are also allowed to look at the baby through a special viewing window, and they are informed that soon they will be able to take the egg home for the domestic period. Preparations for the new addition are in full swing. Rachel creates a nursery decorated in the latest fashion. Elvie also tries to contribute. He brings a real olive tree, but Rachel rejects the idea, considering it inappropriate. This leads to another argument between the couple. Rachel asks her husband to listen to her father and sell the country house. But on this issue, Elvie decides to stand his ground and raise the child in a real natural environment. Rachel notices a pregnant girl at the pool and asks for permission to touch her belly. It seems like magic to her, but the expectant mother, on the contrary, envies Rachel. She admits that the center's service was beyond their means, and she dreams that her next child will be born there. Returning home, Elvie notices the capsule that Rachel brought from the center. At first, it frightens him a little, but over time, he begins to get used to the fact that they are no longer alone in the house. The presence of the egg in the house becomes a real test for the couple. Elvie fears that they won't cope with the baby, and the couple has their first arguments about who should take care of the capsule and follow the feeding schedule. Rachel decides to prepare thoroughly. Together with her husband, she goes on a tour of the school where their future child will go. The lecture is also conducted by Linda Vocek, who shows the guests unique methods: no dirty hands, dripping paint, or ugly drawings. Artificial intelligence does everything for the children, leaving them only to observe the process and provide feedback. Among the guests are the parents of a child already born from a capsule. They admit that their child does not dream, but Linda doesn't see this as a problem. It's a minor side effect that doesn't affect human development. While Rachel continues to go to work, Elvie stays home with the egg. He is responsible for feeding it, monitoring its development schedule, and playing whale sounds to diversify the baby's experience. Elvie enjoys watching the child through the viewing window, pleased that he agreed to this experiment after all. To spend even more time with the child, Elvie buys a capsule holder, a sort of sling equivalent. Now he never parts with the egg, endlessly reading to it, doing all the household chores, and even taking it to the greenhouse. He even begins visiting playgrounds so that the child can socialize even before it's born. The botanist also conducts lectures for students in the company of the capsule, hoping to instill in them and his future child a love for nature and all living things. However, Elvie's initiative does not thrill his superiors. He learns that holograms will soon be introduced into his garden and that the real trees will soon be destroyed due to the unreasonable costs required to maintain the greenhouse. Elvie's excessive sentimentality starts to worry Rachel, and she suggests returning the capsule to the center until the baby is born. She fears that the egg might get damaged from the constant outings, and she finds it strange that Elvie constantly carries the capsule around with him. At night, Rachel continues to be plagued by strange dreams in which she sees herself truly pregnant. She tries to spend more time with the capsule, not understanding why she hasn't developed the same attachment that Elvie has. Rachel asks her husband to visit the psychoanalyst with her. She shares her concerns with the eye, and the artificial intelligence gives her the same advice: to spend as much time as possible with the baby. Rachel tries to follow the recommendations, and she wears the egg, mimicking a pregnant belly. But in the modern world, this looks out of place. At work, Rachel is asked not to do this again and to leave her capsule in a special storage area to avoid making others uncomfortable. Staying late at the office, Rachel hurries to a parenting seminar, wearing the egg like a regular backpack. After the meeting, the parents have to say goodbye to the child. The agreement requires the egg to spend the remainder of the term at the medical center. The separation from the baby throws Elvie into depression. Even Rachel changes drastically. Maternal instincts awaken in her that she hadn't felt before. She even brings the olive tree back to the nursery to create clean air for the baby. Despite the pregnancy being artificial, Rachel's productivity declines, and her superiors notice. But this doesn't bother Rachel. The birth is just around the corner, and she spends her free time at the clinic watching the egg. Elvie asks Linda for permission to take the capsule home for this time, but she refuses. The administrator reminds him that the capsule is company property and is too valuable to risk. But not everything is bad. Linda gives the couple a dream capsule, a device that will help the baby dream depending on the selected content. Despite the prohibition, Elvie returns to the center and steals the egg with their baby inside. At home, Rachel surrounds the capsule with care, but the stress triggers a new wave of dreams in which she chooses a child in a store. Unable to take it anymore, she wakes her husband and asks him to pack up. Rachel asks him to go to their country house so they can calmly welcome their child there, far away from the strange modern world. Elvie tries to resolve the issue peacefully. He asks Linda to assign a nurse to help them through the birthing process, but all efforts are in vain. Linda demands that the capsule be immediately returned to the clinic. The couple leaves the city as fugitives, but this doesn't dampen their spirits. They travel dozens of kilometers by bus, sail on a ferry, and finally arrive at a secluded place, completely unlike their city apartment. Being one with nature finally brings peace and relieves Rachel of her constant worries. Now they only have to wait for the important moment, the birth of their child. Elvie gives his wife a tour of the forest. He tells her about the trees and lichens, shows her stunning sunsets, and together they plant the olive tree that had been cramped in a small pot. In the evenings, the future parents open the viewing window and watch how quickly their baby is growing. But the idyll quickly comes to an end. At some point, Rachel notices that the capsule is no longer showing signs of life. The couple realizes that the clinic has remotely cut off the egg's power due to their breach of contract. Rachel begins to panic and asks her husband to take her back to the city immediately to fix everything, but Elvie has another plan. He suggests waiting. The capsule's autonomy lasts 48 hours. Their child is due to be born during this time and they shouldn't give in to the clinic's blackmail. Elvie turns out to be right. Early in the morning, a touching melody sounds from the capsule, signaling the start of the process. To open the egg, they need to enter a special code, but they don't have it. Elvie tries several random combinations, but they all fail, and he realizes that they'll have to take a different approach. Using a screwdriver, the happy father pries open the capsule, revealing a tiny body inside. Elvie lifts the baby out, wrapping it in a towel and rejoicing that the dangers are finally behind them. While her husband and newborn sleep, Rachel packs the capsule parts into a box and rides a bicycle to the nearest town. She sends the package to the city, and upon returning home, she quietly slips under the blanket. In doing so, she makes the most important decision of her life, to stay and raise their capsule child in the real world, far from civilization. This is where the movie ends.